Imagine standing at the edge of some of the most astonishing places on Earth, where every turn feels like a discovery waiting to happen. From the tranquil wetlands of Yangzhou in China, where green carpets of floating plants stretch beneath willow trees, to the surreal tri-colored pools of Kelimutu lakes in Indonesia, nature reveals its artistry in unexpected ways. Far across the ocean, the avenue of the baobabs in Madagascar lines a dusty red road, each towering trunk rising like an ancient monument to time. These wonders remind us how nature can be both fragile and overwhelming, shaping landscapes that feel untouched by the centuries. Today, we journey through 25 natural wonders so extraordinary they invite us to see the planet with new eyes. Kelimutu Lakes. High on a mountain more than 5,300 feet above sea level, the three lakes of Kelimutu lie close together, appearing from afar like giant mirrors among drifting clouds. The Dutch first recorded this place in the 19th century, while the local Leo people believed that human souls, after death, come to dwell within each of the lakes. The crater walls are built of layered volcanic rock, rising steep in some places like fortress walls, sloping gently in others, and all surrounded by thick green forest. The waters hold rich minerals and gases from deep underground, so their colors keep shifting. At times bright turquoise, at times reddish-brown, and at times deep black. Because of this restless transformation, visitors often find the lakes appearing new with every return, as though the mountain itself hides a different secret behind its surface each passing season. This constant change makes the three neighboring lakes never look alike, creating a natural scene unique in the world. Lake Abraham. From above, a long frozen expanse stretches across the valley, its surface locked in pale blue ice that glitters softly under the thin winter sun. The lake is held by a man-made dam, and the trapped water below releases gas that forms frozen bubbles, rising in layers like glass beads, sealed in time. Surrounding ridges press close to the shoreline, their dark pines dusted with snow, creating sharp contrasts against the smooth white plain of the lake. In places where the ice has cracked, deep lines spread outward in geometric patterns, giving the frozen sheet the look of a giant fractured mirror. Local visitors often walk out carefully on the surface, standing above the suspended bubbles, as if floating over a quiet gallery hidden beneath the ice.
Avenue of the Baobabs.
A striking avenue stretches across western Madagascar, where massive baobab trees rise from the deep red soil, their thick trunks towering majestically over the flat, open landscape. The trees are arranged in irregular clusters, their twisted branches reaching skyward, while casting elongated shadows that stretch across the wide expanse as sunlight shifts throughout the day. Many of the baobabs contain hollow trunks capable of storing significant amounts of water, allowing these ancient giants to endure the harsh, dry seasons typical of this arid region. Some of the baobabs are estimated to be over 1,000 years old, their enormous trunks standing as silent witnesses to centuries of shifting winds, scorching sun, and seasonal changes in the environment.
As the late afternoon light falls,
The avenue glows warmly, with the red soil and towering trunks transforming into a timeless, almost otherworldly scene that stretches endlessly toward the distant horizon.
Chocolate Hills.
Stretching across the central plains of Bohol in the Philippines, the Chocolate Hills rise in hundreds of perfectly shaped conical formations, creating a rhythm of green and brown that captivates the eye. Each hill is composed of ancient limestone, gradually sculpted over millions of years by erosion, resulting in smooth slopes and rounded summits. During the rainy season, the hills are covered in lush green grass, which dries to a rich brown during the dry months, giving them the chocolate-like appearance that inspired their name. The uniform shape and spacing of the hills create a striking visual pattern, making the landscape appear almost surreal when viewed from higher vantage points. From sunrise to sunset, the shifting light casts long shadows across the hills, emphasizing their gentle curves and turning the vast expanse into a scene both rhythmic and timeless. Skeleton Coast. A desolate stretch of Namibia's Skeleton Coast runs along the Atlantic Ocean, where drifting sand dunes meet a stark, windswept shoreline. Jagged rocks and low cliffs punctuate the coast, while scattered wrecks of ships lie partially buried, telling stories of centuries of maritime misfortune. The red sands of the Namib Desert push toward the water, shifting continuously under strong winds, with rocky outcrops enduring the relentless force of waves and storms. Historical accounts record countless shipwrecks along this treacherous coast, making it infamous among European sailors during the 19th century. The Skeleton Coast is also home to the northernmost seal colonies of Namibia, their presence marking the meeting point of desert and ocean. Today, the Skeleton Coast remains a hauntingly beautiful landscape, where barren deserts, scattered wrecks, and endless horizons create a sense of mystery and isolation. Paris Catacombs. Beneath the streets of central Paris stretches a hidden maze of tunnels, their walls lined with countless bones, arranged in precise, eerie patterns along the shadowed corridors. These galleries were created centuries ago to address overcrowded cemeteries, carefully transferring millions of human remains into organized chambers beneath the city. Skulls and long bones were stacked in geometric arrangements, forming solemn displays that combine practicality with a quiet sense of order and artistry. Historical records trace the catacombs back to the late 18th century, when Parisian authorities began relocating remains to prevent health hazards above ground. Visitors today can follow marked routes through the maze, walking alongside walls of bones that silently narrate centuries of the city's hidden history. The tunnels twist and branch unpredictably, creating a labyrinthine network where each corridor offers a glimpse of meticulous human arrangement and time preserved underground. The catacombs endure as a hidden world beneath Paris, where history and careful human design converge to form a quiet, contemplative landscape for those who explore it. Pamukkale. White limestone terraces stretch in long steps across the hillside, their smooth surfaces glowing under sunlight and forming a striking contrast against the open sky. Situated in western Anatolia, Pamukkale has been described for centuries in travelers' notes as a remarkable slope shaped by mineral waters flowing endlessly downward. Over time, the springs carried calcium carbonate across the land, leaving thick layers of bright stone that gradually built the entire hillside into a gleaming crust. Terraced pools spilled carefully from one basin into the next, producing a staircase of shallow water that shifts in tone with every movement of the sun. Warm streams continue to cross the surface today, etching ridges and delicate ripples that appear like frozen waves spread across the slope. Ancient records from thousands of years ago described these thermal springs as a natural treasure, drawing travelers who stopped to seek healing. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it remains a rare meeting point of geological wonder and cultural memory, admired by people across generations. Fly geyser. Rising from the remote plains of Nevada, Fly Geyser shoots mineral-rich water into the air, forming cone-shaped terraces that glow in vivid reds, yellows, and greens. The surrounding desert stretches endlessly, emphasizing the geyser's sudden burst of color and its surreal presence in the barren landscape. Minerals carried by the water have built intricate travertine layers over decades, showing how human activity can unintentionally create striking natural formations. As sunlight hits the colored deposits, the geyser glows with shifting hues, turning this isolated site into a vibrant natural canvas that seems almost otherworldly. Singhi Rouge. Rising from the northern highlands of Madagascar, the Singhi Rouge form a striking series of sharp red pinnacles, their jagged shapes catching the eye across the empty landscape. Eroded over centuries by wind and rain, the red laterite soil has carved dramatic spires and narrow valleys that wind silently between the towering formations. The vivid crimson hues shift subtly with the sunlight, creating a constantly changing palette that contrasts with the surrounding green vegetation and pale earth. Seasonal rains carve tiny gullies through the red pinnacles, slowly reshaping the landscape and deepening the dramatic spires over time. From above, the pinnacles resemble a miniature mountain range, with pointed tips casting long shadows across the rugged terrain. The narrow crevices and jagged ridges reveal intricate shapes and textures, each formation telling the story of erosion and time in a quiet, untouched setting. The Tsingy Rouge endure as a rare natural spectacle, where color, topography, and the silent passage of centuries converge to create an almost otherworldly landscape.
Socorro Island. Far from the mainland,
A solitary volcanic peak rises from the Pacific Ocean, its rocky slopes forming high cliffs that drop directly into restless waters. Socorro Island is part of the Revillagigedo archipelago, long noted on naval charts and once visited by explorers who used it as a reference point in open seas. The land is cut by sharp ridges and wide gullies, with stretches of hardened lava fields spreading across the surface in dark, irregular patterns. Layers of basalt and volcanic ash reveal a foundation built by eruptions, with cones and craters still marking the rugged outline of the island's core.
high above the shoreline,
Sheer ridges curve inward to form a hidden crater basin, a silent reminder that the island was born entirely from fire. Remote and difficult to access, it remains a stark volcanic monument in the ocean, recognized as a natural landmark that reflects the restless power of geology.
Crooked Forest. In northwest Poland,
A secluded woodland stands out, with hundreds of pine trees bending sharply at the base before rising straight into the sky. The trunks curve in the same direction, making the entire grove look as if an unseen hand once guided their unusual early growth. Sandy soil caused shallow roots, which allowed the young trees to twist into this peculiar shape and preserve their bent forms for decades. Planted in the 1930s, the forest still holds its mystery, as no clear explanation has ever proven why the trees grew this way. Over the years, researchers and visitors alike have offered many theories, yet none can fully explain the origin of this remarkable grove. Surrounded by ordinary straight pines, the curved grove remains a long-lasting puzzle and the most distinctive landmark of this quiet part of Poland.
Wetland Park Yangzhou.
Beneath this living layer, centuries of seasonal floods have deposited fertile alluvial soils, gradually building low plains that cradle reeds, grasses, and quiet waterways. A thick green blanket of floating plants stretches across the Yangtze wetlands, forming an unbroken carpet that softens the edges of shallow lakes and winding channels. Branching canals and small lakes flow like a woven network, their edges traced by wooden walkways and low stone embankments, guiding the eye through the calm landscape. Historical notes trace the area back to the Tang dynasty, when Yangzhou's waterways shaped daily life and inspired gardens that blended human design with natural rhythm. The green cover shifts gently with the seasons, thickening under warm sun and thinning as cooler winds sweep across the still waters, revealing subtle textures beneath. Today, the park unfolds as a serene tableau where layered land and softly moving waters hold centuries of memory, inviting visitors to wander and feel the quiet passage of time.
Valle de la Luna.
From above, the valley stretches across the desert floor, with sandstone ridges and wide salt flats, giving the impression of a barren, alien surface. Sand dunes rise beside deep crevices and jagged cliffs, forming a rugged landscape that appears both fractured and carefully carved over time. Layers of sediment have been eroded by wind and rare rains, leaving exposed crusts of crystallized salt that shine under the intense desert light. Situated within the Atacama Plateau, one of the driest regions on Earth, the valley remains almost devoid of vegetation and water. Archaeological traces show that the Atacameño people once passed through this area, long before modern scientists used the terrain for space-related research. Because of its extreme dryness and terrain, NASA once tested instruments here before sending rovers to Mars. Today, its otherworldly formations and stark silence stand as the defining features that make Valle de la Luna a unique landmark of northern Chile. Caño Cristales. Flowing through the southern highlands of Colombia, Caño Cristales stretches across ancient granite and sandstone, its clear waters revealing vibrant colors beneath. Seasonal plants known as Macarinia clavigera carpet the riverbed, turning the shallow pools brilliant shades of red, yellow, green, and blue, giving the river its nickname as the River of Five Colors. The surrounding terrain is dotted with small waterfalls and rocky ledges, creating natural basins where sunlight penetrates to illuminate the underwater vegetation. From above, the river snakes through the landscape like a living painting, with the shifting light and water currents highlighting the surreal, almost otherworldly patterns of color.
Bangar Fort.
Rising from the edge of the Aravalli Hills, the ruined stronghold stands with massive stone walls, enclosing deserted courtyards and broken gateways. The fort's weathered towers still hold traces of their former strength, though much has crumbled under centuries of neglect and harsh seasons. Surrounding the inner grounds are temples and halls, their arches leaning inward as roots press through cracks in the old foundations. Legends tell of a curse that forced the inhabitants to flee, leaving behind unfinished structures and a haunting stillness over the site. Local accounts speak of sudden abandonment, leaving structures half-finished and lending the site an air of mystery across the empty chambers. Today, the remains of this settlement are known less for their battles than for the silence that stretches through its forgotten passages. Saladitara. On the high Andean plateau above 4,000 meters, Saladitara spreads as a broad salt plain, its white surface broken by shallow lagoons that catch the thin mountain light. Around the plain stand dark volcanic ridges and tall rock spires, their outlines forming natural walls against the horizon of the desert plateau. Mineral layers, shaped by evaporation, leave rusty reds and pale golds across the crust, creating shifting bands of color on the salt flats. The site has long drawn scientists for its rare combination of high-altitude climate, saline soil, and dramatic volcanic surroundings. As part of Los Flamencos Reserve, this remote expanse preserves a stark silence where geology and light together define its enduring character. Corcovado National Park. On the southern tip of the Osa Peninsula stretches a vast rainforest where dense trees rise into unbroken green canopies that seal off the sky. The terrain shifts from golden beaches curving along the shore to coastal swamps, then deep valleys shaded beneath towering ancient trees. Beneath the forest, dark, fertile soils have built up over millennia, anchoring layers of vegetation that climb and spread across the land. Short but steep rivers rush down from the uplands, cutting narrow gorges before opening into estuaries that meet the Pacific waves. Archaeological traces reveal that indigenous communities once lived here, leaving reminders of a long connection between people and this coastal wilderness. Today, the park is recognized as one of the most biodiverse reserves on Earth, home to countless rare species of birds, mammals, and plants. Corcovado endures not just as an isolated wilderness, but as a natural archive, where the richness of life has remained almost untouched for centuries. Okunoshima. Set off the coast of Hiroshima, the island rises gently from calm waters, its shoreline tracing quiet beaches and forested hills that slope gradually toward the interior. Concrete ruins of old factories and storage tanks remain scattered across the island, standing as silent reminders of its secret military role during the early 20th century. Winding paths pass through moss-covered bunkers and crumbling walls, where stone and soil have slowly merged with the surrounding landscape over decades. Today, the island is known for its abandoned industrial structures and the quiet, otherworldly atmosphere that stretches across its hills and shores. Lake Natron. Set in northern Tanzania near the border with Kenya, Lake Natron stretches across the Rift Valley, surrounded by low volcanic hills that slope gently toward its flat, expansive shoreline. The lake's shallow waters are rich in sodium carbonate and other minerals, which turn the surface into striking shades of red and orange under the changing sunlight. Surrounding the water, the salt flats extend in geometric patterns, with crusted mineral deposits forming ridges and small mounds across the plain. Volcanic formations rise nearby, their dark stone contrasting sharply with the bright, reflective lake surface, shaping a landscape that feels both stark and otherworldly. The Maasai people have long known the area, integrating its flat plains and surrounding hills into traditional grazing routes and seasonal movement across the valley. Over millennia, volcanic and mineral activity has slowly transformed the terrain, leaving patterns and textures on the ground that shift subtly with rainfall and sunlight. Today, the lake and its surroundings create a remote, almost untouched scene where the vivid water and stark land combine into a quiet, extraordinary panorama. Akushima Forest.
Nestled in central Japan,
Akushima Forest stretches across rolling hills and narrow valleys, where dense woodland blankets the slopes with layers of evergreen and deciduous trees. The terrain rises gently in small mounds and ridges, while winding trails trace the contours of hills and narrow channels formed by seasonal streams over centuries. Rich soil interspersed with granite outcrops creates subtle variations in color and texture across the forest floor, giving each section a distinct character and pattern. Tall, straight-trunked trees dominate the landscape, their thick canopies filtering sunlight and casting intricate shadows that shift gradually with the moving day. Historically, the forest has served as a place of meditation and quiet reflection, with pathways and open clearings once used for traditional spiritual and cultural practices. Over centuries, the combination of natural growth and human reverence has preserved the area largely untouched, maintaining its serene, almost mystical atmosphere throughout. Today, hills, valleys, and ancient trees merge seamlessly to form a landscape of calm and hidden depth, where every slope and clearing seems to hold a story waiting silently to be discovered.
Komantong Cave.
Deep within the limestone hills of Sabah lies Komantong Cave, a vast chambered system carved over millennia by the slow erosion of water through solid rock. The entrance appears as a towering arch set against rugged cliffs, leading into an interior where high vaulted ceilings stretch upward like natural domes. Walls of textured limestone reveal layers of mineral buildup, their surfaces etched by countless years of dripping water and shifting stone. The main cavern branches into passages of varying size, some narrowing into corridors, while others expand into wide halls of echoing silence. Pillars of stone rise from the ground and descend from the ceiling, gradually formed as mineral-rich water left deposits across centuries. Light filtering through the cave mouth highlights subtle contrasts, turning smooth rock into a canvas of shadow and muted reflection. Historically, the cave has been noted in regional records for centuries, regarded as a significant landmark within the surrounding cultural landscape. Its formation is linked to the broader geological history of Borneo, where tectonic movement and erosion combine to shape unique underground structures. Together, the scale, history, and geological detail make Kagomantong Cave one of Malaysia's most striking subterranean wonders, standing as both monument and mystery beneath the hills.
Gobi Desert.
The Gobi Desert spreads across southern Mongolia with vast plains, rocky plateaus, and scattered dunes, forming one of Asia's most expansive arid regions. Its surface is dominated not by endless sand, but by gravel and stone, shaped through ages of erosion and harsh winds that carve the open land. Layers of ancient sediments and fossil beds remain preserved, offering traces of prehistoric creatures and revealing the geological story of shifting climates. Once a crucial route of the Silk Road, this stark wilderness now stands as both a record of natural forces and a symbol of human endurance.